What's up guys, DreadScythe here. It's been a little while since my last video. So today what I'm actually doing is I'm going to do a run through of this Legend Lost sector at recommended power of 1250. It's the Perdition Lost sector, and I'm doing it because today it's actually got the exotic head armor rare drop since it's at 1250. If it was at 1280, like the one up here, it would be a common distribution, but that one's got a bit higher of the recommendation on power, so your enemies are going to be a lot stronger. Plus it adds that master modifier attrition. So if I ever do a video on a master lost sector, I will kind of give a little bit more detail about attrition, but today we're focusing on a 1250. So we've got Vex champions, we've got barrier and overload, which means we're gonna need to look at our gauntlets, which I will show you in a second. Vex modifier, shocker. So that means they're basically gonna have arc shields, is from what I've gathered, and they're pretty much resistant to all damage type except for arc. So you want to make sure you're gonna have arc, whether it be your subclass, your power weapon, something. Destination modifier, plus arc and aerial damage taken. Pretty obvious, arc and aerial damage are going to deal extra damage to us, so we want to avoid jumping around too much. Burn, plus plus void damage. That means that we're going to deal additional void damage, but the enemy also deals additional void damage. So for barrier and overload, we go over to our gauntlets. We go in and we can equip whatever we need. So I'm using overload rounds on the scout rifle and anti-barrier on the pulse rifle, and you get these from none other than the artifact. So overload you can either do on auto rifle or the scout rifle like I'm doing, and for anti-barrier we can do the pulse rifle like I'm doing or a submachine gun, whatever you guys prefer. So I am doing this on my hunter. I'm using the middle void subclass because I think Spectral Blades is pretty fun, and then the other thing I like is the flawless execution, so I can get invisibility and true sight if I get a precision kill when crouched. That actually makes things a lot easier for me. I'm using the Night Watch because it's got explosive payload and I've got a masterwork. I'm also using the GN7 rifle because, as you can see, it's arc and it's a pulse rifle, so this I can use for the anti-barrier, and I can get through those Vex with the pesky arc damage. And then I'm also using the Black Talon because we get the +2 void damage, so it's really good against bosses, and it's a sword that has range, and swords have a lot more ammo than a rocket launcher, which is why I'm using that. I could use a falling guillotine, but with the some of the enemies with the shocker, when they die, they drop like a little arc thing of damage, and some of the enemies, it's just really not a good idea to get up close. So you want to try and have some power weapon with range, even if you have like a machine gun or a grenade launcher. Any rocket launcher can do. Like I said, I'm mainly using the sword because Black Talon's pretty good. It's an exotic. It's got the projectile when you go to fire. Um, so it's a really good sword. Plus I have sword scavenger, so I pick up extra sword ammo, and I have sword ammo finder, so I'm able to get a little bit more. On my chest piece, I've got arc damage resistance because we want to try and mitigate at least some of the arc damage. You could get a void chest piece and negate void. It's just right there. It's based on the type that your armor piece is. So if we had a solar piece, it would be solar damage, which wouldn't really help us in the sector. So, without further ado, we're going to do the Perdition Master Legend Lost sector at power light level 1250. And basically, yeah, with this one, the head, so I know with the Hunter's Mask of Bakris, and then there's also a special head piece for the Titan and the Warlock that you get from the sector. See, now I'm invisible. Just to kind of show you guys, so this is kinetic damage, and you can see that is not doing anything to them. The other nice thing about this is we can actually shoot through this nice shield. You just want to keep landing some headshots. So make sure whatever anti-barrier thing you got, you can deal some range against them because they are pretty powerful. And then you're gonna see, yep, I just tank through the shield. Alright. So realistically, this has gotten to where it takes me still about 10 minutes. I try to go slow because in order to get those exotic armor pieces, we actually have to do these lost sectors solo. So can't really do it with a teammate, we don't have anyone to rely on, and you do get a limited amount of lives, so you just want to make sure you're not dying too much. So that's why I go a little bit on the slow side, I stay in the back. And, you know, it's also good practice for if you go against the 1280. See, I wasn't paying attention there. And then you can revive in about 5 seconds. And you can see in the lower right the amount of revives that we're able to get. So we're also going to notice against that Minotaur, because of his Void Shield, our gun isn't doing jack squat against him, so Black Talon. I just launched something and I pretty much incinerated him with void damage. So now we're going to get rid of the Hydra with some precision damage, and then he just kind of goes past that barrier and he goes up to the top level. And now it's going to spawn a bit more bots. There's going to be an overload champion, so what I typically do is I try and get rid of some of the other ads real quick, because that overload champion, he is going to rush us eventually. So I just try to make sure that I get rid of all the other ads. There's a hobgoblin, so now we're gonna see he is rushing. And you don't really want to get close because he takes out your shield like that. I'm not giving the greatest of focus right now since I'm also trying to communicate. So we're going to put the scout rifle. If you have an auto rifle, you see it staggers them, and then I'm going to reload real quick. Because when that's up, he starts actually regenerating some health. So we don't want that. And then I'm just going to use my Black Talon from a distance, stay safe. Gosh, oh my goodness. Whenever you defeat a champion, you gain another revive. So that is one key thing to note. So I now have 1 revive available, which really means I have 2 lives right now. I'm going to get a chance to increase that a bit when we go up here. I'm going to be a little bit more careful, because I'm actually dying a lot more than I just did in my last run. I was kind of just getting the feel for it. It's been a little while since I played Destiny. Got a lot of life stuff going on right now, which is always a fun time. And now we're just going to do that. Kill those things real quick. They'll drop those nice little energy. That's why you don't want to get real close and personal with them. And now we see the Hydra with the rest of its health. We're just gonna sit in the back because now we can hide behind this. If you can really get a good peek, sometimes you can snipe him a little bit out from there, but he's still able to shoot you, so you'll want to watch out for that. I thought I had seen some power ammo drop, but I guess I was just mistaking myself. So that's though we get 2 more barrier minotaurs that spawn. Or not overload. Oh my gosh. They're overload. No, they are barrier. Well, I think. Before they were overload, now they're barrier ones. Then there's a... Oh gosh. There we go. And as I watch my health... Yeah, you see that's a barrier. Barrier hobgoblin, that's what they're called. Yep, it's overload minotaurs and barrier hobgoblins in here. And we've still got that Hydra up. So basically the Hobgoblin, every time you take a third of their health, they deploy that little barrier. Then you just gotta use your anti-barrier weapon in order to defeat it. And then I just use my sword to snipe them. Alright. And then I always try to save my super until the last round. I just got stuck there. That was not a good thing for me to do. Yeah, I try to save my super until the very end. I could probably use it in this section too, but I like making sure to have it at the end because you get a little bit more of a buff to damage in case you need to use it. So we're gonna go have these Wyvern, and then I just typically go back kind of over here because you just really want cover because pretty much everything deals either arc or void damage. Now the arc we do have a buff against, but still we're weak to it, so you don't attack. So you don't want to get too close to them because they will pretty much obliterate you close range, which is why I am keeping my distance. I am light level like about 1270, 1269, that area. This is technically recommended power of 1250. It still, they kill me pretty easily, as you guys have seen from my mishaps. Honestly, I'm not finding like any heavy ammo, which is kind of disappointing because my last couple of run-throughs I've had so much. Oh, I see some there, which is really good. Peace. I should really be crouching more. Oh gosh, this is not a good position to fight him from. I still like going over there. I just don't really want to go back right now, I guess. Okay, so now he's staggered. There we go. One of my friends just got on smite. Now this is actually the last phase, so we're gonna get some more of our little goblins, some harpies, all the fun stuff. You want to try and still make sure to not die here. We don't get any more champions at this point, so I think I faced, what, 4 or 5 champions? So that's an additional 4 or 5 lives that you get with each champion you defeat. And then pretty much it's just these tough little ads. So now I've cleared the ads, so now what I do is I just pull out my sword. I don't get that because it hurts. And then, yeah, just kind of use my sword to... Because we get the extra damage from Void, so that just makes this sword even more powered. And now we have to go against all these. And you don't necessarily have to kill them. I do just to not waste lives and then risk. Because if we go for the chest and die, I just like risking that. But we can go for the chest now that the boss is being defeated if you really wish. But I'm still gonna kill them all. Plus, who knows? They might drop some kind of an engram. Engrams can always be fun to get. And now everything is dead. We go over here, we pick it up, we got an enhancement core and some always pieces, and you have a rare chance right now at getting the Mask of Bakris. So the modifiers for these Legend Lost sectors, as far as I know, they don't change based on location, so Perdition always has these same modifiers, but different Legend Lost sectors will have different modifiers, so that the bunker one could potentially be different, I believe. And I think that actually mainly goes across planets. I'm not for sure. It kind of depends on the enemies in there. When we return to orbit, we actually get returned back to Europa. Our equipment's unlocked. So that was something I didn't mention earlier, is our equipment is locked during the Legend Lost sectors. So that is pretty much how we're going to beat these Legend Lost sectors, and then you just kind of can keep doing it for whatever armor piece is available. I myself haven't gotten the Mask of Bakris, that's why I thought I'd do a tutorial, because it is honestly one of the most overpowered exotic um, pieces of equipment in my opinion. So if we just go to the map, so yeah, you'll notice like right now there's also the Bunker E15, so they've got Barrier Overload, they've got the Vex modifier, pretty much all the same except for the Master modifier, which is Attrition. So basically what Attrition is, my wallet just fell. So health and shield regeneration slow down, but killing foes may cause wells of light that restore health and charge your super. So it's basically something. So that can actually make. Sorry, I actually just got a text from one of my friends that was asking me about the Lost Sector, so this video is kind of a tribute to him. Shout out to my best friend from 7th grade. I'm not going to say his actual name. Um, but so yeah, attrition is your health and your shields aren't going to regenerate nearly as quickly, so that can be why having that void subclass on the hunter can be really helpful going invisible. You want to be invisible because it just gives you a little bit more time. If you have a warlock, I would highly recommend having the well. I can't think of which one it is. The well that heals you, because if you have the one of power, it's not going to help quite as much if you're doing one of these master lost sectors, because you're not healing as much. And then the other part of that is, you defeat enemies and it can potentially grant more super energy and other stuff. Um, so essentially, this is all we gotta do to farm whatever reward is there. But yeah, as you see over here, the enhancement cores were uncommon. The armor was rare. Over here, enhancement cores are still uncommon, but the armor is common. Um, I will do another one of these if requested. I'm not going to do it today, only because since the headpiece is available, I'm going to try and get that before the daily reset tomorrow. So if anyone wants a run through of a Master Lost Sector, I will happily do it, but this is a Legend Lost Sector. Um, I think that's it for this video. My next plan, I will actually start more on the Born in Darkness questline to get my first Remnant of Darkness, which will be a grenade, I believe. Alright, I hope everyone's having a great start to the new year, and I will catch you all later.